Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Welcome to our first training for eLeader. Hello?
Hello,
Okay, can we go ahead?
you can?
Okay, all right. Welcome to the e-learning training. Can we see my desktop?
Yes.
Okay. We are going to have a training on the navigation of eLeader platform. I know we have done this training before, but this training is just a refresher training. So we are just only going to navigate through the tools that we find on the eLeader learning platform. As you can see, the look and feel has changed, but the functionality is still the same. We have upgraded our e-learning platform. So you might see that other things are now being done differently, but the functionality is exactly the same. It's only the look and feel and how we are going to maneuver through the platform. So I have created a site which I call eLeader training. And this is the site that we are going to use throughout the training. As you can see on your previous eLeader site, you were having few sites, and if you want to see more, you were going to the down arrow, you click more sites. That's when you are able to see all the tabs. But with this new leader platform, you come here, you click, then all the sites appear. Then where it says filter sites, then you can type which site you want. For example, if you want the finance site, you can just type finance. Then it's going to filter for you all the finance sites that are available. So that is the only difference with the previous site. For example, our site is called eLeader training. So what I'm going to do is I come here, as you can see, it's not on the tabs available for me. So I'll just come here, then I type training, then eLeader training, you select the site. This is the site for eLeader training. As like before, on your left, you have the tools. These are the different types of tools that you have chosen when you created the site. So we are going to start with the introduction. We are going to start with the tool. Announcement 2 is the tool that you are going to use to communicate with participants, to send them an email or to announce anything available. If there are any new resources available, then you can communicate with the candidates or with the participant via the announcement tool. How do you create an announcement? For example, you will have this, you click on announcement, then you go to announcement, you click on add announcement. What am I announcing? The title. We can say change of webinar time. It's just an example. Then on the body or the description, remember it's going to arrive as an email to participants. So you can say, dear delegate, please, hello, may we please mute our mics so that we don't have these echoes or any disruptions. Thank you. So we say, please note the change, whatever you want to write, then you write your message. Then you just say regards, God's grace. Then here on the access, only members of these sites can see. Yes, then you leave it like that. Then on the availability, sure, it means that the announcement is going to be available as you post the announcement. Hide, it means you just have created a draft. You have not yet finalized. and you don't want to send it now. Then specify dates. It means that you have created an announcement, then you want it to go out at a certain date and time, but you have what do you call it? You have draft already the announcement, but it's just for the date and time to be sent out. So if you choose the specified dates, it's going to ask you, when do you want the announcement to go out? Then you can select when you want the announcement to go out, meaning that you can plan all your announcement prior the course. Then you just specify the dates when you want the announcement to go out. For example, if you are sending them an article or any material, you can as well attach a document to your announcement. Then you can choose any of the document. Then you attach the document to your announcement. Then we have the email notification. This too is used, for example, if you say none, no notification, you are just saying, I just want to post the announcement on eLeader platform, but I don't want to send any announcement to the candidates. Meaning that the candidates won't receive any email, but the announcement will be available on the eLeader platform. Then if you select hi all participants, you are just saying, after I have created the announcement, when you click on post announcement, it means everyone who is registered on that specific site will receive an email to say there is an announcement and this is an announcement. So usually it's recommended that we use the hi so that each and every participant receive an announcement that you have posted. But for training set, I'm going to use none because there are no participants on them. Then that is how we create an announcement. Do we have any questions? Are we good to go to the next two? Hello?
Yes, Grace, you can continue.
Okay, thank you so much for responding. Sometimes you tend to wonder, was I talking alone? Is there any technical fault? But thank you for responding.
Okay.
We move on to the next two. Like, I'm going to skip introduction, organization. These are topics for this specific site, meaning that whenever we create a site, these topics will be available for you. So there's nothing that you can do about the topics unless if a candidate complains that there is something that is happening. For example, you say you can't click for example, if we go to the organizational behavior, then the candidate say, if he clicks maybe for the manual, nothing is happening or the video can't play. That's when you need to send an email to eLeader. You first check it yourself. If you are experiencing the same problem like the participant or the candidate, that's when you send us an email. Then we move on to, you usually use tests and quizzes. Most of the sites, it has tests and quizzes, especially for the school sites and courses department. They have tests and quizzes. So when we create a site, we create a site together with the tests and quizzes, but it's for the coordinator to publish the assessments. We do not publish the assessments. The coordinator publish their school site assessment. How do you publish the assessment? Like for tests and quizzes, you come here, there is tests and quizzes. There is a drop-down menu. You select settings. In this platform, that's when you are going to select to publish the assignment. So when it says about this assignment, please leave it as it is. Then we go to availability and submission. Availability and submission, that's when you are going to specify when the assessment will be available to candidates. For example, if I was having some groups on my site where it says assessment released to, you can either release to the entire site, meaning that you are releasing this assessment to everyone who is being uploaded or who has been added to the site. So I don't have groups, otherwise it was going to say groups. Then you select if you have a certain group that you want assessments to be available to those specific group. Then it says the next the number of submissions allowed. It all depends. Like most of the assessments, except it's a test and quizzes, they are unlimited. The participant is allowed to do it over and over again. So you leave it as unlimited, with the exception of numerous skills, whereby the candidate is only allowed to take it once. So when a person is allowed to take it once, you say here only. Then you type in the number of submissions that you can allow the candidate to submit. You can say 2 times, meaning that the candidate can take the test and is also allowed to retake the test. But when it comes to numerous skills, it's only allowed to do it once, then you can type once. But for any other modules, according to my knowledge, they are allowed to do it as many times as possible until they are satisfied with the score that they have. That's when we select unlimited. Then we are saying it is available. Then you state when do you want it to be available. It's available. Then you choose the date, October, then 2020. Then you say done. You go, it is due. That's when you are going to select when is your assessment due. When is the due date for the submission of the assessment? Then you can select it must be due maybe in December 10, 2020, done. Then it has a time limit of, you are going to select, for example, numerous skills has a time limit. Then it all depends on your requirement. Otherwise, you can leave it blank if there is no time limit, meaning that the person has enough time in the world to do the assessment. But sometimes when it comes to numerous skills, it's maybe 1 hour to 1 hour 30 minutes. So you select 1 hour 30 minutes. So all these, it all depends on what module are you publishing. Then we also say let submission accepted. You can leave it blank, or you can, if there is no let submission, you can now use the same date as the as the due date, which is on the 10th of December. Then we go down. Then all these you can leave it. Then now we come here. Just leave it blank. Just leave it as it is. Even here, leave it as it is. Then we have add new exception. For example, you want to give an exception to a certain group. So depending if you have created that group, you can as well give them an exception. For example, you can have 5 people who registered late. So you can give them an exception to say they can do it even if it's closed, but this specific group can also do it. Then we go to grading and feedback. Grading and feedback, it says if multiple submissions recorded there. He's saying if there are a lot of submissions, for example, we have chosen unlimited submission, the system, should it record the highest score or should it record the last score? So sometimes it's better to keep the highest score, because the candidate may do it now, then do it for the second time, third time, he even get less than what he has done. So it's rather better to record the highest score. Then we go to the next item. It says anonymous grading options. If you say hide student identity from grader, meaning that you won't be able to see the student results. So we usually select send assessment score to gradebook immediately, regardless of the option. Then we go to feedback. how feedback will be authored. We always need a question level feedback so that per every question, the candidate should have a feedback. Feedback for question 1, feedback for question 2, feedback for question 3, so that he knows where he went wrong. And it also, the next item, it says, set the type of feedback a student receives. If we say no feedback, meaning that even if the candidate has already completed the assessment, you won't be able to get the feedback, which is not the right thing to do. We can even have also immediate feedback, or we can have feedback on submission, of which we always encourage that the candidate must have feedback after he has submitted. Then we go to the next, set advanced feedback options. If you leave it here, the student won't be able to see anything. So that's when you receive queries to say, I have done the assessment, but there is no feedback for me. So we always say release questions and the following. If you don't select what is supposed to be released, meaning it's as good as you didn't select this item, because nothing will be released. So we always want the student respond so that the student sees what he has responded to the question. We need the correct response. We need the question level feedback. We also need the graders comment. Sometimes the graders comments which has been uploaded on eLeader platform. Then we also need to see that. Then the layout and the appearance. We always want under question layout, we always want the questions to be on the same page. For example, if there are 20 questions, we don't want the candidates to keep on click next, 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 next until he's done. But all the 20 questions can be on the same page. So that's why they say the complete assessment is displayed on one web page. Then the numbering, we need the numbering to be continuous. Then we say save. If you click on save, it means you have saved what you have done, but it's not being published to the candidates. So we say save and publish. Then you say publish, meaning that our assessment is published. As you can see, Section 1 assessment is published, but all other, they are still on draft mode. So for you also to determine whether you have published the assessment or not, you can also check. Then all the ones that are not published are on draft mode, and the ones that are published are, it's even written here, published but inactive. Why is it published and inactive? It's inactive, though I opened it on the 4th of August. It's inactive because I didn't add any participant. But you will see that it will be active when I have added participants. I didn't want to preload the participants because it's one also, it's going to be part of the training as well on how to upload the candidates on the platform. We are done with the tests and quizzes. Before we move to our assignments, is there any question? Are we good to go?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Let's move on to the assignments. Assignments, you can either add an assignment or you can publish the assignment that is already available. Like when you take, for instance, for the schools, the assignments are already preloaded, but on other departments, you really need to add an assignment. Let's start with adding an assignment. You just come here and select the button add. Then you need to give an assignment a title. Assignment 3. Then what are the instructions for the assignment? Then you need to type in all the instructions. For example, question 1, what does it say? Question 2, question 3, question 4. Then please click add an honor pledge. This honor pledge will enable the participant to say this is their own work. So before a candidate submit an assignment, it won't allow him to submit unless he agrees to the honor pledge. So it's important. Also, sometimes you have your assignment in a PDF format and you want to add it. Here you can say, find the assignment attached to these two. Then you come here, you click on aid. Then you need to choose. This is our assignment. Continue, meaning that here will be the instructions to say the assignment is attached, and here is where the assignment is attached. Same as tests and quizzes, you need to select the open date, which is the 7th. Also, when is it due? The 4th. Usually make it due in the midnight so that for those who want to submit after hours can also have an opportunity to submit. And also here, also choose. Here we are saying you should accept until. Usually for my courses that we are doing, and it's easy for me, I always say accept until the following day. For example, if a person is trying to submit at 10 midnight, if you close it at 12 midnight, meaning he doesn't have an opportunity to submit. So usually I say it's going to be due today at 12 midnight, but I can allow submissions until 8 o'clock in the morning, meaning that those who want to submit on the last minute, they still have an opportunity until 8 a.m. to submit, so that you don't have more queries or emails with an attached assignments to say, I tried to upload at 5 minutes to 12 and I couldn't go through. The portal was closed for submission. So usually I put it a day early, the next day, 8 in the morning for submission. Then here, send a reminder. It's going to send candidates the reminder. Individual member, this one we can leave it. Then it says student submission type. Submission type, if you say inline only, meaning that the candidate is going to type on the message box available on eLeader platform, of which the marking tool is not going to work on there. Then the next one is attachments only. Attachments only will allow a candidate to submit attachments. As long as it's an attachment, the system will allow. A candidate can say question 1, question 2, question 3, question 4, question 5, and uploading the files separately. The system will allow. Then our next is inline and attachment, meaning that the candidate can type in together also submitting, which is also confusing. For example, if the facilitator wants to mark, the candidate will have already typed in question 1, then also the other 2 will be attached to the student's portal, of which is confusing. So inline and attachments is so confusing. Then we go to non-electronic. Non-electronic, we are just trying to say this assignment, do it, but you're not going to submit it on this platform. So there are other subjects like IPM where the submission is non-electronic. The candidate is not supposed to submit the assignment. Then we go to where it says single uploaded file only. For me, this one works well with me because, for example, if there are 10 questions, the candidate will complete all the 10 questions, put all the documents into one single file and upload it. It's also easy for the facilitator just to mark one document than to find question 1, this file, question 2, this file, and at the end needs to calculate all the marks and give the final mark. So we usually select single upload file only. We move on, then it says allow resubmission. System will allow a candidate to resubmit. When they say allow resubmission, for example, if the assignment is due on the 10th of June and the candidate submits in May and realize, no, I submitted a wrong file, the candidate has, or the delegate has, an opportunity to remove and upload as long as it's before the due date. So it's best to just say allow resubmission unlimited, that the candidates is allowed to upload, delete, upload as long as it's before due date. Then release resubmission notification email. Please don't allow the system to send notification. Why? Because for every submission you will get a notification. Not you alone, but everyone who has the rights, the maintained rights, or anyone who doesn't have the candidate or delegate rights will receive email notification for every submission, meaning that if a candidate submits 10 times, submitting, removing, you will receive 10 emails. So it's best to select do not send email notification. This also applies on our next item, which says submission notification email. Please say do not send email notifications. We move on to grading. It's best to select grading if the assignment is going to be graded. So you select grade, then it's going to ask you the grade scale. For example, it's going to be points, and those points are going to be 100. You are just saying this assignment that I'm trying to publish is up to it has a maximum points of 100. Then also say send grades to gradebook, and it must create a new gradebook item. When you say create a new gradebook item, it's just going to take them your title for the gradebook. So that's when it's going to say what you call it. It's going to create a gradebook according to the assignment title. Then now we move on to the next. Please give me a sec. Give me a sec. Go and ask Casey, please. I'm already on. Please go and ask Casey. Thank you. Hello. Then we say create new gradebook item. Then it's going to create the new gradebook item. Then we go on to the next. Release grade notification email options. It's the best to say do not send notification email. Why? Because, for example, if the facilitator marks for one candidate, upload is going to say to the candidate, you now have feedback, meaning for all those whom the assignments are not yet marked, they will give you problems to say, my assignment is not marked, this one is marked, this one is marked. So it's the best to send an email notification when you have done all, when you have marked and uploaded and released all the grades. So it's best to say, do not send email notification. If you want to give them where it says additional information, if you want to give them more answers, you can as well upload the model answer for the specific assignment. Then thereafter, you click on post. Then is your assignment. It has been posted. So that's how you create an assignment. But for other modules, the assignments are already available. So if an assignment is already available, what do you need to do? Here, for example, the risk assignment is already posted on eLeader platform. You just need to publish it for your delegates, for your candidates. What you need to do is you come here, you say edit. Then you edit assignment. If you are editing, just leave everything as it is because somebody has already done it for you. So what you need to do is just to change the days, the open date, the due date, and the accept until, and also select for candidates to have a reminder 24 hours before the due date. Then here submission. Then for this, it was a non-electronic, but you can even say it's a single file. It all depends. Then also, if it's a single file, allow resubmissions. Remember, we have already done this before. Do not send. Great. It's a point. It's out of 23. the grading, please leave it as it is. Then here, do not send notification. Then you post for the one that has already been loaded on eLeader platform. That's all about the assignments. Are we together? Are we still together?
Yes, we are.
Okay, all right. Now let's move on to the next item. Our next item is how to add participants on eLeader platform. How do you add a participant on eLeader platform? You go to site info for that specific site. You go to site info. Then on site info, there is a button which says add participant. You click on the button, add participant. Then we are going to copy the email addresses only. So there is a list of candidates that I have created for this specific training. So I will copy, if there are maybe 20, 40, 50, just copy only the email addresses. And also, please note, before you upload or before you add the candidates to the site, first email the list to the eLeader team so that they can upload them on the system before you start adding them to the site. You can't add a candidate to the site before they are being uploaded on eLeader platform. So you need to first send your list to the e-learning team. The e-learning team just need first name, last name, and email address in Excel format. So when you receive an email from us to say your candidates has been uploaded on eLeader platform, that's when you copy all the email address, you paste them here. Then you go down. Here it says assign all participants the same role. Then here assign each participant a role individually. For example, you have copied together the instructors and the candidates. You say assign each participant a role individually, meaning that the candidates will have their own role, the facilitators have their own roles, but the only challenge that we have is we are going to assign those roles individually. So the best is first upload candidate participants with the same role. Then you can also upload another group of participants with a different role. So now we are going to say assign all participants with the same role. We click on continue. When we are on continue, we are going to say choose a role for participant. Access all the students or all the candidates, all the participants, they have the access rights, meaning that their rights are limited to a certain level. So if they are participants, please select access rights. If it's your facilitator, please select the maintain rights. So facilitator, maintain rights. Coordinator, maintain rights. Administrator, maintain rights. But if they are candidates, should have the access rights. Then you go down, you go to continue. Then it says, an email can be automatically sent to the added users, notifying them of the site's availability. That means if you say yes, send now, meaning that all the candidates that I have uploaded just now will receive an email indicating to them that they have been registered to that specific site. Or you can choose do not send an email notifying you. Okay, then that means if it says do not send, there is no email sent, so there is no notification sent to them, meaning that you still need to send them an email notification that the site is now available for them. We click on continue. Then it's going just to summarize to say what's the name, the ID, which is the email address, the role and the status. Then when you are done, you click on finish. So meaning that I have added these candidates to the site. Then now we move on to the next. Our next is, for example, other sites whereby all the schools are on the same site. If you add your participant, you won't be able to extract only the information for your specific school, meaning that you need to create a group for that specific school. It also applies to some of the departments whereby they need to find out who have passed or not. Then group those who have passed and group those who have failed. So you can also group your candidates or your participants on eLeader platform. How do you group? Where still on, whilst we are on site info, we have a button which says manage groups. We click on manage groups. Then manage groups, you can either create a new group. If you create a new group, you need to give that group a title. Then you can say maybe it's a resub. Then thereafter, you need also to select members to assign to the group. So you can select this one, you go decide, meaning all these that I'm selecting, I'm assigning them to the certain group which is called resub. So if you say create new group, as you can see, I have created a new group. But remember, what I have just done, you can only do it if you have few candidates. If you have more than enough candidates, you can't create a group in that way. We have what we call bulk creation, meaning that you need just to create one group and upload all at the same time. How do you do it? You come here where it says create. As you can see here, it says you need to separate the group name and the username. I have already done it in Excel. The group name, I call it training, and the username, which is the email address. What you are going to do is, for your specific candidates for your school, just copy all the email addresses, put them on column 2. Then on column 1, if you are PE or East London, just write East London day or PE night or Joburg night. Then on column 1, it must be exactly the same to the last candidate. Then you need to save it in Excel form, in CSV format. So this I have already created and I have saved. Say file, save as in CSV format, we save. Okay. This is the same file that we are going to take here, where it says now, or choose a file instead of you typing training, comma, space, grace@lssa.org.za, training, comma, the next candidate. You can just come here and say choose file. Choose file, I'll choose my training group. I open it, then I say continue. Here I say bulk creation. Can you see? Oh my, what do you call it? I have created a training group. So you choose which method works for you perfectly. If there are just few candidates, you can use by selecting one by one. But if there are so many, it's advisable to use bulk creation. Still on the site info, we have what we call edit site info. We leave it. Then we have manage tools. For example, I have created a site for you. I add you to the site. You are the owner of the site, and you realize that there are some certain tools that you need that I did not activate. There are certain tools that I activated that you don't need. As the administrator, as the coordinator, you have the right to add or to remove the tools that you don't need. For example, There is no calendar too, but you realize you want to create a training program on the schedule. May we please switch off our mics, please? Thank you. So we have a calendar. So what you need to do is you can tick the calendar, meaning that the calendar is now added to the current site tools, which were not there. For example, you can even select the chat forum. You can select the forums. It all depends on what you want. Then you realize, Grace added chat forum. I don't need the chat forum. You can still come here and remove the chat forum. Then you go down, then you say continue. Then you go down, you say finish. So all the new tools that you have added will be highlighted in red. Now, you now have the calendar, you now have the forums to add it to your site. Then you realize, no, the way that the tools are organized, a person has to go down to look for assignments. No, I really want the assignment to be on top. You can come here and say tool order. Then tool order, you can put wherever you want risk management, you need it here. You realize no assignment, you can drag assignment, put it on top, so you can reorder the page as you want, because you still have the right to do so. Then you can save. After saving, you have realized this assignment was down, but now it's here. That's all about. Oh, sorry, before I go, you can also import information from one site to the other. For example, there is information that I need from another site to be on this site. You can come here and say import from site. I would like to replace my data. Then you can choose here. Let me find, maybe I need the one with a calendar. Just looking. Yeah, okay. Then I need to copy this. Then you say continue. What do I want to copy? I only want to copy a calendar and maybe the polls and leave everything. Then you click on finish. It's going to copy the calendar from ITML to the current site. So if you just want to reuse the information that you have created from the previous site, instead of retyping the information, you still have the opportunity just to import information from one site to the other. That's all about site info. Then we move on to the gradebook. If I don't have questions for site info, which is adding of participant, managing the groups, importing information from the previous site, then I can move on to the next, which is the gradebook.
Hi, Grace.
Yes.
Mutamai from Joburg School.
Yes.
When you were adding the managing groups,
Yes.
should if you don't want to add them individually, I saw
Yes.
you were demonstrating to us that you can do that in groups. Can you
Yes.
repeat that step again? But I want to get clarity if we still have to add participants if we follow that process or not.
Okay. You can only create a group for the candidates who are already added on that specific site.
Okay.
Yes. So regardless of creating and not creating, first need to add candidates to the site. Then after adding candidates to the site, that's when you can now create the groups.
Okay.
Yes. So I let me first remove manage groups. Okay. Let me first remove the group. Okay. I have removed the group. Okay, we are going now to repeat on bulk creation. So under site info, manage group, you go to bulk creation, you click on bulk creation. Bulk creation, you can do it in two forms. You can type in on this text box, separating the group name and the username with a comma. Or alternatively, you can create an Excel file like this one. Column A, you put your group name and it must be exactly the same throughout. Then column B will be specifically your email address, or which is the user ID of the candidate. Remember, the user ID and the email address can be different and also can be confusing to candidates. For example, my user ID to log on to eLeader platform can be giremkuru@yahoo.com, but the emails can come to grace@ssae.org.za. It can happen. eLeader platform can accept that, but it's too confusing to the candidate. So we usually prefer that the user ID and the email address should be exactly the same. So now, column A, you have your group name, for example, Jobbek Day or Jobbek part-time or Jobbek full-time. Column B is the list of all user ID of all your candidates. So you can list them from 1 to 100, not a problem. Then, but make sure that they are column B. Column A, the group name, the same throughout. Then now here is my group. I go to the platform. I click on choose. I'm going to upload the file that I have created. And I call this time I call it training. You have uploaded, and it should be a CSV file. Then you click on continue. Then here you click on bulk create groups. Then your groups are created. So it's rather easy to have an Excel sheet with your group name and the list of your candidates so that you can just upload. And usually, if the candidate is not uploaded on eLeader platform, when you try to create a group, it will tell you that the username does not exist. So it's advisable that when you add the candidate, use the same list that you have used to add the candidates to create the group so that you don't have those error messages. So that whenever a candidate is now changing the user ID and the user ID or the email address was incorrectly captured, when to change, you don't need to go and add him again because it's already on the. That's all about the site info. Any other questions before I move to gradebook?
Yes, yes, Chris. Last one.
Yes.
Because of we have, let's say we have already created participant. We have added the participant, and
Yes.
now we want to upload the spreadsheet that you just shown us.
Yes.
The same spreadsheet should be alphabetical or sequencing the way you added the participants, or the system will be managed to link the names according to with their emails.
Not at all. Not at all. The only important thing is just make sure that the email ID, the user ID that is in your Excel sheet is exactly the email address that you use when you're uploading candidates. That's all. The order doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Oh, all
Yes.
right.
And also another thing that I forgot, for example, you created your group, then you have what we call those late registrations. Make sure if you upload a candidate as a late registration, you add the person to the site. Please do not forget to add the same person on the group, because you won't be added to the group. You need to add the person on the group. So all late registrations, you add them manually on the group. Then we move on to gradebook. All the results or everything that candidates are doing are going to be stored on the gradebook. whether it's tests and quizzes, whether it's assignment. We can say this is a tool where it stores all the information or all the results of the participant. So for the schools, usually, remember, for other sites, you just need to download the gradebook so that you can be able to issue the candidate a certificate. How do you export the gradebook? You can come here, import, export. Then you need to export gradebook. So if you click here, export, it's going to export for everyone. Meaning that if you are on the school sites, you just click export, it's going to export for everyone, all the schools. What do you need to do? When you are on gradebook, please make sure that you select your group. For example, I only need the resub group. You come here, you select the resub group, then you can now export. Then you can say export. Now you can export the gradebook for only that specific group instead of exporting for everyone. So that's why it's important to create a group when the site involves everyone. But if there is only a site for your own specific school, creation of groups is up to you, whether you want to create a group or not. But group for what? If, for example, if you have only one school. But now, if they are all schools, like the IPMs, the FPE, it's all schools on one side. You need to really create a group so that when you export your gradebook or when you export your results, you have results for your own specific group. Any other information? If we don't, then we can move.
Grace,
Yes.
on gradebook, let's say we have uploaded the spreadsheet with their marks.
Yes.
How do you now go back and edit it? Maybe to one, maybe we have made a mistake to one candidate, and then you want to correct that, because I've been struggling with that.
Okay. I need to log in as a student so that we can have what do you call it? You can come here, you can edit.
What?
You can come here, you can edit, but I wanted to have a
Okay.
mark form, because remember these ones I cannot add because they are pulled through from the assignments, they are pulled through from the test and quiz. So I cannot edit because it needs me to first mark. Let's see, assignment. Oh, there's also there is no. Okay. Okay. Then we assignment. Then we come to grade book. Why is it not? Okay, there is no submission because it's saying there's no submission. I need to submit something for the participant because the system I say it is a submission. So I need to submit something. Then maybe what we can do is on my next training, I have another training with you next week. I will start here because I will have submitted something for a candidate. Then I can show how to change it. So maybe I can take note for the next training, which is next week, Wednesday.
Okay.
because there it's showing no submission. So there's nothing that I can change on gradebook because there's nothing being submitted. Then we also have another tool called polls. These polls, this is a tool that you can use to quickly find out. For example, I usually use it when I want to find out which is the preferable time for webinars. Do you prefer webinars in the morning, afternoon, and evening? It's a survey. You can quickly do a survey using polls. Like, for example, this poll that you can see, it's a poll that I used, for example, on one of my modules. I did a live webinar. I did a pre-recorded webinar. So I was asking candidates, which webinar did you prefer? So on polls here, you say add a new poll. Then you type your question. What was your preferred webinar session, or what was your preferred time? Here, then that's when you type all your questions. We have done webinars in two forms. The other one was a pre-recorded, that you get a link to listen later. The other one was a live webinar where the facilitator was available. Then you open, when do you want the poll to be available? Then when do you want the poll to be closed? Then limits, we always want a person to select one option for one answer. Then the results to avoid people, what do you call it, first to see what the others have chosen and chose also what others have selected. We always say results are visible to participants who have voted, meaning that you need to vote first before you can see what others have selected. Then you can click on save and add options. Add options, since it's preferable time. Was it a pre-recorded webinar that you preferred? Then you go add another option. What was the preferred? Then, okay, then here, was it a live webinar? Then save and add option, or you can say we don't need any webinars at all. Then you say save is your last one. Then these will be your options. Then here you can click on save, meaning that this will be available to candidates. But you as the admin, you can even see before you have selected any options. For example, if I see this or this one, I copied from another one, so you can't see results. But if a person voted, you'll be able to see, oh, okay, so most of them prefer a live webinar. So on my next intake, I would rather have live webinar than the pre-recorded webinars, or other than not having webinars at all. Then the forums. This too allows an engagement between the candidate and the facilitator. Most of the courses, the students, they don't see the facilitator, but they engage the facilitator through forums too. The candidate can type a question, then the facilitator can respond to the question through forums. For example, whilst the candidate was studying risk management, there are other things that he couldn't understand and needs a clarity from the facilitator. He just go to the forum, type in the question, and the facilitator will respond. This too works well for our courses. We use it for, especially our medical law. We use it more often because that's when there is an engagement between the facilitator and the candidates. That's the forums too. I'm not sure if you are using forums too, but that's the forums too. And also, I saw on assignments, other schools are using the assignment to even to store the marks and the results for candidates for other modules that are not on eLeader platform. As you know that there is a school size, this is now only for schools and maybe for PMT. There is a school site. The school site is whereby you can store all the information that you need for example. That's where you can communicate with the candidates for your specific school. That's when you can also publish your assignments other than for those which have the completed online course. There are others, AMA, HCP, it's HCP and other modules where they are not on eLeader platform, but the assessments can be engaged via eLeader platform. Then other schools, I have realized that if you check your homepage, it's still 2019, while this is a site for 2020. If you ask us to create a school site or a PMT site, we just duplicate the site for you, but you need to edit the site in order to suit your needs. Let me give just an example. I'll just take any of the school sites. Okay, as you can see here, what I was talking about, you can see this is a JobX 2019. I'm sorry, Motsame, I'm not here to, what do you call it, to expose, but I just...
It's okay, it's okay.
You can see here 2019 1FT. But if you check, they forgot to edit. They say, welcome to 2018 1. But we are already on 2021. So the schools should take note of that. Whenever we create a site for them, they should make sure that the information on the homepage is correct. You can go to overview, then you can go to edit. You have the right to edit whatever. You can delete what is available and come up.
I don't know what she's talking about. Okay, all right. But thank you, Cindy.
Then you can edit, and now you can type in the information that is relevant to your specific school. That's all for today. Unless if people have questions, if there are no questions, we will meet again next week from 10 to 11. Next week is going to be about the marking tools, so that if you have facilitator who are struggling with the marking tool, you are able to assist them, and also how to edit the grade book. If you want to change the marks on the grade book. Apart from this, is there any question before we call it a day?
Hi, Grace.
Hello.
Hi, I wanted to find out, are these sessions recorded?
Yes, it is recorded.
Okay, so we can go back and revisit what you've just shown us.
Yes. It's
okay, and
recorded.
how do we do that?
I will send you a link. I'll send everyone a link.
Okay, thank you.
Any other question? With no further question, thank you so much for your time. See you next week, same time. Enjoy the rest of the day. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.